I made a video a couple days ago about why Mitch Trubisky was drafted second overall in a weak QB class where many teams aren't even looking for a QB. Nevertheless, the Bears did indeed, jumping up only one pick with the 49ers to get the QB of the future. In that video, I explained why the Bears would do such a thing. Please check out that video if you haven't already. But in this video, I'll be explaining who I think actually won that trade, and it's way more complex than you think. I have a whole script written about it, so let's just jump into it. So let's start with what the 49ers got in return. I'll put up on the screen a brief recap of the trade so you can see what happened. But naturally, there are more trades that happen within this trade, and it gets really complex. So yeah, let's start. So it's simple. The first one, the Bears trade pick, and they got Solomon Thomas out of Stanford. So looking into him, he hasn't really panned out as the 49ers have expected. A third overall pick should be better at this point, and the 49ers are looking with him and Armstead to make them make more of a difference in the defensive line. Maybe drafting a Nick Bosa or Josh Allen in this draft will help them make more of a difference because they'll get less attention, but that is yet to be seen. Okay, now let's have some fun talking about the trades. So that third-round pick that year, the 67th overall pick that the 49ers got, was actually exchanged with the Saints in exchange for a 7th-round pick later that year and a 2018 second-round pick from the Saints. And the Saints got for that pick was a random guy named Alvin Kamara or something. But, yeah, so the Saints kind of lost out on that. Alvin Kamara? I don't know. Anyway, so with these two selections, the 49ers picked Adrian Colbert out of Miami in the 7th round. And, well, what they did with their second-round pick was and their 4th-round pick in 2018, they traded for 2 picks, a second-rounder named Dante Pettis, a wide receiver out of Washington, and DJ Reed, safety out of Kansas State. Okay, so now these 3 pairs, let's look at them. So let's start off with looking at Adrian. In 2017, Adrian Colbert is his name. He played 14 games with 6 starts at free safety, recording 37 tackles and 5 passes defended. In 2018, he started until week 7 when he suffered a high ankle sprain. Future is bright for the kid. Hopefully this is only a one-off and he'll return strong in 2019. Dante Pettis had a fairly successful season, actually, with 5 touchdowns, 27 receptions at 17.3 yards per reception before ultimately being shut down for the season in Week 17. And DJ Reed, well, nothing exciting, but he did return kicks for the 49ers and forced a fumble with only 2 starts on the season and 41 tackles overall. Okay, now time for some more fun. Well, do you know that 4th-round pick in 2017? Well, that pick was actually traded to Seattle for a 1st-round pick, Reuben Foster, from that godly Alabama defense. He didn't pan out so well and ended up getting suspended by the league for domestic violence in the past year, and then he was eventually picked up by the Redskins. In exchange, Seattle got a 2nd-rounder, in which they traded to Jacksonville. See how complex this gets? I mean, if I mentioned all the trades, this video would never end. It's like a never-ending vine and chain, but let's just move on. 2018 3rd-round pick for the 49ers was a guy named Fred Warner, linebacker. So on December 30, 2017, he had a coming-out party with a season-high 14 combined tackles and the 49ers loss against the Los Angeles Rams. He also started all 16 games in his rookie season with 124 combined tackles, 6 pass deflections, and 1 forced fumble. And all of his tackles, the 124 of them, made him finish 12th among all players and 3rd among rookies in 2018, actually. All in all, the 49ers ended up getting some decently good defensive players. I'll try to make a summary chart on the screen to show what the 49ers got in exchange just for one player. Like I mentioned, they also had to end up trading some of their own picks, so it's not 100% accurate, but this is the closest you can get, minus like 1 or 2 players. So let's just see. I'd like to wish future Anthony editing this video good luck.
Yeah, it wasn't even that bad, but this video quality is really awful, so let's just get back into it.
The 49ers did get really some unlucky breaks, like mentioned, with Reuben Foster and a couple other injuries, but they had the right idea by selecting and taking chances on high-end talent just to move down one spot in a guy that they were going to take anyway. The Bears ended up going for the more secure pick, with more proven players to win now rather than developing pieces like Kyle Shanahan wanted to do, that he thought that could work. And 2017 wasn't all misfortune for the 49ers, actually, because they actually stole George Kittle with their own 4th-round pick, and they ended up getting Jimmy Garoppolo for peanuts. Knowing this, I think the 49ers would still have made this trade. If you look back now, I think they would still make it because they got a young franchise QB, always think for now, in exchange for just moving one step back and like a guy they're going to take anyway. The young core with Kittle, Breida, Garoppolo, and offensive lineman Mike McGlinchey is exciting going forward, and I think the 49ers fans should be optimistic heading into 2019. So going into the Bears on the other hand, they've shorthanded themselves in my opinion. So let's look into it. Going into 2019, they have only 4 picks, and thanks to part of the Khalil Mack trade in 2019, and they only had 5 in the 2017 draft. It actually worked out well because 3 of the 5 of them were Pro Bowlers, and Mitch Trubisky, Eddie Jackson, and Tariq Cohen. And I also don't understand why would they give up picks, knowing that they're so good at finding all these talents. I don't see why you would give up these picks if you got all these steals in Eddie Jackson, Tariq Cohen. Maybe you're lucky, maybe you're not that confident, but I don't know. So anyway, focusing back on the topic of the video, Mitch Trubisky. We're going to dive deep into his career, even though it's only been 2 years. In his first year, many thought he'd be a bust similar to Jared Goff. He then got an offensive-minded coach, like Jared Goff did. In the first year, they went from the bottom of the division pretty much, and they ended up winning it, and they ended up losing their first playoff game. And the following year, they end up going to the Super Bowl and getting outcoached like the dumb coach. Okay, never mind. I'll stop. But I'm not sure if Nagy and Trubisky are in a magical Super Bowl run this year, but I do think it's possible. Yes, they had an easy schedule last year, and now they have to play a first-place schedule. And yes, I don't think Trubisky is as a talented arm as Jared Goff, but I still think the Bears team is special and can make a run for it. Jared Goff and Mitch Trubisky are both learning under really smart head coaches. Well, I think Sean McVay's a little overhyped, but that's a different video. The NFC isn't looking as strong this year either because Aaron Rodgers has a new head coach. Drew Brees isn't getting any younger. Same thing with Kirk Cousins. He has a new offensive coach. I can go down the list, but if you look, there aren't any teams that you look at and go, that's the team to beat. I honestly think the Bears have a chance to win it all this year. Backtracking a bit, should the Bears have traded 2/3 and a 4th for Trubisky? Patrick Mahomes was impossible to predict, and if Nagy had the option, I think he would have selected him. Deshaun Watson wasn't quite John Fox's style at the time, so I don't blame the Bears management for going for the more safe pick at the time. I don't think they should have picked Trubisky in retrospect, but it's worked out so far. I think with Patrick Mahomes, they probably would have won the Super Bowl this year, especially with Matt Nagy as a coach. So in that time, in the past couple years, Mitch has gotten much better. If you look at the screen, look at his first year to his second year. That's an amazing improvement. In this time, the Bears went from 3 wins in 2016 to 5 to 12 wins, and I think they should have had home field advantage if it wasn't for the Miami game, which they choked, and even the Giants game, which I think they should have won. The main key to their success is having a defensive leader in Khalil Mack to show the young and rising defense from the 2017 season, who I think was ranked top 5 or at least top 10, to play the game right. Looking back in the past video, the Bears were 15th ranked offense and defense in 2016, but the 3rd ranked team. This year, they were the 21st ranked offense, but really like 15, 16 if you eliminate the 2 games with that Mitch Trubisky missed. And they had the 1st ranked defense, or 2nd, depending on. One can make the argument that Trubisky was hanging on to the success of the defense, like the Rams or in Minnesota, or both games in Minnesota, really. But I would argue that those teams also had great defenses that Trubisky had to conquer. And he also had some really successful games this season, albeit against Tampa, the Patriots, who, by the way, won the Super Bowl, and Buffalo, who actually had a pretty impressive defense this year. I mean, they were really was really undervalued this year, how good they actually played. Looking at the 49ers, they got some unlucky breaks, like I mentioned before, Jimmy Garoppolo going down, and they've had a 10-22 record in the past 2 years since the trade, but I think they'll actually challenge the Rams this year. But I think it'll take one more year to see if this trade was really successful. If the Bears represent the NFC, I'd lean toward the Bears. But if Garoppolo gets injured or underperforms, I'd pick the Bears too. But if the 49ers win the division and or the Bears give up their title as NFC North champs, I'd lean towards the 49ers. Also, let's not think Trubisky is injury-proof at all either. He did miss 2 games this year. I do, however, respect his heart and willingness to hop right back in. And I love his heart to like his competitiveness. He wants to get back in. He wants to learn. He's eager to learn. However, I think Garoppolo has too much pressure to win, and he has all this fame and all these accolades with dating models and stuff, while Trubisky isn't expected to do much, and he's expected just to go out and compete. As time goes and Mitch learns, I think his playbook will expand, and I can see him being a top 10 QB in this league and going to more Pro Bowls, which I don't think he deserved this year, but I can see him going to more Pro Bowls and actually deserving it. My prediction video for the season isn't out for a couple months, but I think the Bears will repeat as NFC North champs right now as it stands, especially if they get Le'Veon Bell, by the way. And I think the 49ers will sneak in as a wild card. I think the Bears window is much shorter, as a Khalil Mack trade will prove its impact on the Bears because they gave up so much for him as far as trades go, and they'll have to pay him coming up very soon, and that will add on, so they can't get as much offensive talent or defensive talent. But the Bears' young talent, I think, could drive them for another football generation, which is about 3 to 4 years. If this is true, the Bears' ceiling is much higher because Nagy will teach Trubisky how to play better because he'll put him in better situations, to be honest. The 49ers will be a force to reckon with in the next 7 to 10 years, but I think their ceiling is much lower. They could win a Super Bowl, but I don't really see it. Maybe an odd year out. I think the better plan was to win now in the next 3-5 years than trying to hope everything goes right in 7 to 10 years, because things naturally don't go right. You need a 3 to 5 year window because eventually one of those seasons is going to work, but 7 to 10 more things are prone to go wrong. So that's it. Let me know what you guys think. Who won the trade? Who will win the trade? In the comment section down below. Which QB coach combo will win more Super Bowls, win more games? Which one do you think is better? Which one do you think will last longer? I'd love to hear your predictions and anything else in the comment section down below. As always, if you do enjoy this series, let me know. And I probably want to do the Jets-Colts trade. I'm not sure if I would do it this year because some of the trades have yet to pan out. But I may look at some other trades to see who won those trades. That's it. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.